There you go. Anyway, come on up, Shane. Come and say very much.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I might have done a lot of things, but I'm just a humble servant of the people there to serve rural and regional Queensland. And acknowledge Bill too. And I just want to acknowledge the Knuth Brisbane campaign, all the committee, and everyone that's behind this to support this campaign. And it's just great to see that we've got die-hard people that are there to fight for good cause. I'm probably here in some sense too as a member of Parliament, and I have seen the biasness over the 15 years that I've had in the Parliament, particularly in areas where you'll see $1 billion go to the upgrade of South Bank, and you'll see a railway station closure in rural and regional Queensland. Penton's one of them, Torrens Creek, near Nonda, Max Walden, and you can name probably another 20 or 30. Then you'll see $500 million, and I've got no problem with the sports stadiums and the funding that goes down into Brisbane, but you'll see a $500 million sports stadium, then you'll see a hospital closure, then you'll see a $1 billion tunnel, and as you'll see this $1 billion tunnel, you'll see the maternity services in rural and regional Queensland close. And so you've got to ask yourself, when it comes to weighing this up, when you're seeing one getting all this massive infrastructure, massive funding, billions of dollars, and we're getting cuts, closures, and redundancies. And they talk about, you know, the Indigenous people. This is so important. I worked in the railway with Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islanders, South Sea Islanders. They had a job. And all of a sudden the government comes down and closes down the sidings, the railway stations, the trucking yards, the maintenance game yards, and they don't have a job anymore. And they thought that this is a great idea that's going to save a few dollars, but you know, they don't mind spending $1 billion on $150 million on a footbridge, but they'll close down, you know, our railway station, our sidings, and they'll cost us jobs. Just got to find where I am. I just want to also say, just in regards to only recently, myself and Robert Canner, we introduced a motion into the Parliament, and we were hoping to get, you know, with the support of the movement that's here, you know, to educate the parliamentarians about supporting us and why we're actually trying to drive this push to get this bill passed. I've never been so frustrated in all my life, particularly when things are so important to us, and you see Brisbane members of Parliament that wouldn't have a clue about anything in our regions voting to decide the fate of what's best in the best interests of us. So we put this motion forward, and I just will read this out, and just to give you an understanding, a little bit of the history too, but probably some of the reasons why I'm very passionate about it. But I'll just read this here. I rise to speak, this is myself, to support the KAP motion to separate Queensland in two states and for the boundary of the two states to be recommended by the Queensland Redistribution Commission or other commissioners. This is not a new argument, this is me speaking. In 1986, 120 years ago, the Queensland Labor member for Rockhampton, William Kingston, moved a motion for a referendum for the separation of the North Queensland and Central Queensland colonies. It was passed by the Speaker's vote after a 20-20 split in the vote. However, the movement was blocked because of a number of members who were absent when the vote took place, managed to have their votes recorded. And so basically it was supported back in 1896. Somehow these members who were absent, somehow they got their votes recorded, and then they ended up turning their vote around. So we were almost there back then. So I believe that there is some hope that we do have in probably getting, you know, a vote across the line. Then it says here, in 1948, another new state movement was inaugurated in North Queensland, following which the Governor's speech at the opening of the Queensland Parliament in 1948 contained suggestions that a new state might be formed in Queensland when they had a reasonable degree of economic stability. Quote, then a North Queensland movement received additional impetus following the representation of popular convention held in Mareeba in August 1955, when the new state for the North Queensland movement was officially launched. Agitation for the North Queensland state was persisted through the 1970s and 80s with continual demands for a referendum. The driving force at the time was North Queensland Self-Governing League, which was aimed at having a separate self-governing sovereign state by 1988. A flag was proposed and approved at a meeting in the 16th of October 1994. In attendance was Frank Rossiter, you know him very well, Bob, Max Keating, Alex Cargill, and other leading figures of the state. So this is not a new argument. This is an old one, but it's an old one as a result of the frustrations that we have. And I was there in the Parliament when we saw Southern members decide to sell the coal component of Queensland Rail, which we were making $1.8 billion a year in profit in the Bowen Basin. So it was our asset, not their asset, but they made the decisions to sell off the coal component of Queensland Rail, which was making $1.8 billion. Now that same asset is returning to Horizon and other multinational companies $3.8 billion a year. So they had sold an asset that could have been returning $3.8 billion a year back to us, and that would have money would have went to our hospitals here in North Queensland, not closing down, our schools, our roads, and also they privatised the above rail from Townsville to Mount Isa, which was raking in $500 million a year. And this is the frustrating thing about it. I was seeing this happen time and time again. Just to let you know that in regards to the with the push, we also called on the state government this year to provide $250,000 in benefits, as myself and Robbie Catter, also Nick the Meadow, $250,000 to setting up a cost benefit and a committee in finding means and ways of how we can set up a separate state of Queensland. It was rejected by the Premier. They used their numbers to stop that happen. Just to let you know, they said $250,000 was a waste of money. I wrote this down here. The Queensland Rail spends $500,000 on soaps and toiletries. And this is a special type of organic soap. So what's $250,000 to set up a committee to investigate in finding the means and ways of where a boundary is going to be, the cost factors, the cost structures, and to enforce and have a referendum on the North Queensland state. Just to let you know too that Tasmania, and this will be probably has been brought up, and this will probably be brought up, Tasmania has 12 senators, 40 state MPs, and 17 federal MPs. Probably going to quote that later on tonight as well. North Queensland has 2 senators, 16 MPs, and 5 federal members. Now, if you compare that, 12 senators for Tasmania, we're nearly double the size of Tasmania. We've got 2. Right? Only telling you the 2 because we're including Rockhampton in this. Now, I do remember that the push for a North Queensland state was about 20 k's south of Serena, and that was the first self-governing league movement. And if we were able to go on the original boundaries of what they were pushing for from the beginning, we'd only have 1 senator here in Queensland. If they were going on those boundaries, we'd only have 13 MPs. It was mentioned there before, Bill, 13 MPs here, 59 MPs down there in Brisbane. Now, when also Bill mentioned about those seats that have been abolished, back in 2009, we had the seat up here of Tablelands abolished. We had the seat of Charles Towers abolished. We had the seat of Fitzroy abolished. And out there in Western Queensland, you had another 2 little seats, which was Cunningham and also Darling Downs. They were abolished. But those seats that were abolished Then we moved down there in Brisbane. Now, the numbers in the house have gone from 89 to 93. And it might sound silly, but myself and Robbie Carter, we pushed to increase 4 more extra seats in Parliament. The reason why is because we were coming up for another redistribution. And had we have not increased from 89 to 93, we would have seen another 4 more seats come out of most of North Queensland and rural and regional Queensland, go down to Brisbane. So we went from 89 to 93. Those 4 extra seats are all in the southeast corner, or you could probably say Brisbane, the Gold Coast, and the Sunshine. The next redistribution that we're going to have, we're going to see another 3 or 4 more seats moved out of here. So when you see our seats go, that's less representation, less chance of us having a say down there in Brisbane. When we're fighting for our region, we've got less voices. And when it comes to the vote of Parliament, where it's such important things that are important to us, it is the Brisbane voters that decide the fate of what's best, best of interest to us. Now, I was also in the Parliament, and I've seen year in about the vegetation management. Now, this is a really touchy subject, this, because there's areas like the Ainsley Upland, which is 96% remnant. So 96% remnant vegetation. We haven't developed. The Cape York, 98% remnant. Up there in the Gulf Plains, 98% remnant. And we had a number of graziers, but one particular grazier up there in the Cape, he brings in over $500,000, sometimes about $500,000 of fodder from down south. Because he's trying to develop 500 acres of land in the last 10, 15 years, just so that he can irrigate. And so when he brings up all that different fodder, he's also bringing in the noxious weeds. And so his base is now ridden with that noxious weeds of all the hay that's coming from the south. And he's been pleading with the government, with the departments, to give them the opportunity just to develop my own crops. And they've come out and said, no, read the vegetation management laws. Like I was saying, most of those laws were passed by Brisbane members of Parliament. And just, we have not seen any major infrastructure development in the last 30 years. Like we've seen tunnels down there in Brisbane, we've seen the South Bank upgrade. Both major parties agreed on a $500 million aquarium down there in Brisbane in the South Bank. We've seen the Cross River Rail agreed too, which was $5 billion. And the best we're getting out of this, as I was saying, is cuts, closures, and the crumbs off Brisbane's table. Where we could have the opportunity, if we were North Queensland State, for the Tully Hydro, or the reverse Tully Hydro, a tunnel through the Canberra Range, the North Johnson Transfer, Hell's Gate. These are just a few of the opportunities that we could have. But I'll just show you something here, that in 2016, we got $3.6 billion of royalties coming out of rural and regional Queensland. And this is the figures that came from advanced hands, and I have entered the government over this, that out of that $3.6 billion in royalties that was provided from the mines and associated to the mines, rural and regional Queensland got $100 million. So they got 3,600 million that went to the southeast. We got $100 million out of that. And out of the state infrastructure fund that was put in place, this is the 2016 figures, that Townsville North was $500 million short-changed. But this is something that is happening time and time again, and we're seeing this day in, day out. So, just to mention also that vegetation management, the Indigenous people are up there, and you know this Ross very, very well. that they that don't have much when it comes to income producing, they want to expand. And they have also attended most of these meetings and pleaded to have this opportunity, for development, for growing sugarcane or whatever it may be that they want to grow, and that still has taken, has been taken away from as a result of that we don't have the numbers. So, with this, I'm here because I'm very, very passionate, but I've just seen time and time again, and likewise, I just want to say they're just completely gutted, particularly when we're trying to bring things up that's so important as an example where you see flying foxes flapping around and, a bit of serious, health risk. And we've had young mums carrying babies and they've had 3,000 to 4,000 flying foxes above their home. Right at this present moment, there's more priority over those flying foxes than a nursing mum. When it comes to, trying to develop, they'll give us a bit of a touch up of the road, but there's not much more after that. But you'll see, a new tunnel, you'll see a cross river rail, you'll start to see all this development take place down there in Brisbane. But share this, I see it all the time, and this is what's frustrating. So I want to let you know that we're just 100% with you, and keep going, because I did secure once funding for a hospital, but I had the people behind me. Shane didn't get that funding, for a hospital, it was the people behind it. And if we're going to change and get changes, it's not going to be, just Shane Knuth and Bob Catter. When we talk about that funding that I've delivered, I got funding because it's the people behind us that drove us, and that is our strength. We can't do anything without you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words.